How selection works. I was privileged that I was on the other side. I was once a student applying for psychology. I became a staff member in psychology. So I've also sat on the selection being on the other side, and I could observe how the selection, I was part of the people who sit there, interview you and all of that. So at least I know both sides. Now let me tell you about how the selection goes. Friends, this is Dr. T and I welcome you to our channel, Living Your Life to the Fullest. Now I came to speak to you today mainly for one reason, to give you motivation. Particularly if you are, I think mainly I want to speak to those who are in a career transition phase, because I'm very much in touch with your journey and career path. So I want to give you some form of motivation and tips about alternative career path. But before I get into that, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, I encourage you, make sure that you click on the subscribe button at the bottom of this video. Make sure that you click on the subscribe button, subscribe, click on the bell icon so that every time I post a video, you can get the notification as well. Make sure that if you are looking for a job, I usually check positions that exist and I share them. So make sure that you fill, there's a link below here to a form that you can fill. If you are looking for a job, fill that form and I'll be able to share posts that are advertised and you can be able to take advantage of them. So let's get into what I want to share with you today. Today I want to speak about masters. I think that's where the stress is. Let me just clarify that. I hear people saying, they take a lot of people and they end up not selecting a lot at master's level. Look, it is not a university that decides that. It is the health professions council that decide that. Why do they decide that? They don't actually even limit the number. It's because of the way the profession is structured. By nature, psychology is a very intense course. Anybody who did a master's will tell you it's very intense, and I'm talking about the professional masters, industrial, educational, clinical, counseling, and neuro. They're very intense. Actually, you are going through counseling yourself. You are going through a psychological session yourself through the classes. That is why they are small. So they are very intense because they are developing you as a psychologist who's able to deal with other people's emotion. So think about it. A medical doctor has got a stethoscope, has got injection, has got medication, has got all these resources that helps them do their job. As a psychologist, the only thing we have is our ears, our eyes, our ears, our mouth, and our brains. That's all you have. So for you to be able to be trained well and thoroughly, when you are sitting in front of the person, to be able to listen attentively, to be able to analyze what they are saying, and to be able to come up with a conclusion that is able to address whatever issue that they have, you need to be thoroughly trained. So a class of 30 people, 20 people might not give you an effective outcome of a training that will enable you to be an effective psychologist. It's not about psychology only. Every field is like that. That is why people don't easily get into medicine. Not that universities can't take 1,000 students, they can. But the training requires few people because of the nature of development, educational development that one needs. For example, in medicine, they've got what they call cadavers, dead bodies. They go into a room, they are practicing on a dead body. Why? So that when they get to the hospital, they don't practice with your body. They have already practiced with a dead body. So imagine if you get 100 people around one dead body. How will that become effective? When they get to hospital, they'll kill people because they never had efficient and effective training. Psychology the same. If you don't go through psychological process in your masters, just because you are 100 in a class, you are going to have difficulty helping people. That is why people can go for a service. They come back and say, you know what, that person wasted my money, wasted my time. Why? Because of lack of proper training. So psychology, they don't select less because they want to frustrate you. No, our training requires that you have less people for it to be effective. Anybody who did psychology will tell you it's a very intense training. By the time you finish, I'm telling you, by the time you finish, you are exhausted. You are exhausted. They will have cooked you. They have cooked you very well by the time you finish. So people understand. Psychology, remember, even when you apply, nobody knows you. So you can't say you have been unfairly not selected, unfairly excluded or rejected. We don't know you. So we can't, it's just the merits. You need to make sure that you get the marks, get the qualification, get the professional maturity. So it's not about you. And it's not about lack of consideration of people. Every institute, every HOD, if you speak to them, they wish they can take more, but it will not be effective as a training. Academic honors, the reason you have got a lot of honors level taking more and are not being accredited as B-Psych, majority of institute, UNISA I think used to have a B-Psych, they no longer have it. Why? So that they can take more students at honors level to remove your frustration. But you see, that is also frustrating you because B-Psych, back then, there was our honors, the way it was actually at an honors level. I remember even at UP, I was at UP, we did an honors which will allow us to either do psychometry or counseling. But they had to take few people because of that accreditation. B-Psych as well will allow a few people to be taken. The add-on honors or the equivalent will take few people because it needs to be effective. So I don't want you to take it personal. Actually, your thinking should be, if they take 100 people in all universities around the country, you must be one of them. Yeah. We are not, as we became psychologists, we are not the most special people. We are not the most intelligent in the field. We are just people who just focused on their own professional development and took psychology very serious and had a different mindset that we are going to get here. If they take 10, I'll be one of the 10. Our mindset was different. We didn't go there with, oh, they take a few, hey, let's just try, we'll see what happens. No. Don't go with that mentality. If they take 10, you are one of the 10. They must see how they remove others. You are one of the 10. That's the attitude you must have. I will share one day how my journey, how I got into masters. I was not joking. I remember I went for an interview. I told my classmates, hey guys, I was at UP. I only applied at UP. They took me. I told my colleagues, I said, hey, me, I'm in. Whoever join me will join me. But me, I'm in. Because I was so positive about it. I worked on my professional development. I worked on my form when I applied. Everything. I was fully absorbed into it. That if they don't select me, had they not selected me, I will be happy that I gave it my best shot. But not only that, I got the marks. And this is where it all starts. When you want to get into masters, your first point of departure, get the marks. I think I had about 13 modules then at honors. I had maybe about, and I'm just saying this humbly, I had about, I think, 6 distinctions. Not because I was not the genius in the class. I can assure you, hey, there were people who were very good. But I was very competitive. But I'm not, look, I think I'm an average student by nature. I think I'm an average student. But I got the marks. Well, even if I'm average, I'm a doctor now, it doesn't matter. When you become a doctor, whether you're average or whatever, it doesn't matter anymore. The point is that I got the marks. I make sure, and this is where your problem is. When you ask, hey, what is the entry level? They say 65, you aim 65. You won't be selected with those 65. Be careful. When they say 65, you want a distinction and more. Don't aim for 65, because remember, How selection works. I was privileged that I was on the other side. I was once a student applying for psychology. I became a staff member in psychology. So I've also sat on the selection being on the other side, and I could observe how the selection, I was part of the people who sit there, interview you and all of that. So at least I know both sides. Now let me tell you about how the selection goes. The first part of the selection is purely on marks, it's percentages, it's a game of numbers. The first part of the selection. So if you are 1,000, you apply. Your fate might sit on one or two people, three maybe the most, but just a person sitting there calculating, an administrator calculating your marks, checking if your marks meet certain average, comparing with other people, shortlisting based on the marks, purely on the marks. Why? Because psychology is very demanding. Master's level, guys, it's very demanding. Master's level, you work, you have no life, but it's very beneficial when you finish. You never regret it. You will really reap the fruit of doing your master's. Job wise, pay wise, you'll never regret having done a master's in psychology. I can assure you about that. So the first round is about the marks. They look at the marks, the percentages. You could be an administrator, whoever, so they don't know you there. So when you are rejected at the first round, it's nothing personal. It's just the marks are not there. So it's about the marks. Then they shortlist from the marks now. They shortlist the people, a group of people, and even then they will have a number. They'll say maybe we can see 100 or 120 or 80 or whatever, knowing that they want to remain with 15, 16 or 12. They will invite people now for, usually the process with us, it was I think 3 days. First day, it was mainly everybody, were mainly in groups and group activities, no interview. The second round, we were having the interview. And the third round, there were interviews. So the first round, invite everybody. They might have maybe a group interview. All of you sit in a room, they ask you questions. Now, when you get to that round, people, marks don't matter. We've finished the marks now. When you get into the interview, marks aside, now it's about you as an individual. That is where now your voluntary work plays a role, your work experience, whatever. How do they play a role now? They play a role in a sense that when you are working, you mature as an individual. You deal with different people. You deal with different personalities. That is why most people who work in a psychology-related field, they do well in psychology interviews. Why? Because the question, they can narrate them better, they can understand them better, and be able to respond well. So when we get to the group stage, it doesn't matter you are a genius or whatever. That doesn't matter. We have passed that stage now. We have invited you. We know that you have achieved academically. We want to know you as a person. It's about professional maturity. Professional maturity. It's about you, personality as well. So they ask you questions in order to check your professional development, personal development, your maturity as an individual, your conceptualization of things, how you understand them, how you analyze them, how you explain them. So when you get there, most people, they get there, they want to compete with others. You want to, no, be yourself. Because in psychology, you'll understand that, you'll see when you get selected, in the class, you are all different. They select people who have different personalities. So if you go to an interview, you are copying another person, they reject both of you because they don't want copycats. They don't want two people who are similar. We are all different in a class. Personalities, we look different in psychology. Yeah, you look around, they're like, oh, these people, they look different, eh? Because they want that heterogeneous mixture. It brings the richness of the training. That's now, and then they also give you group activities. Those group activities, they're not just activities, people. They've got a thinking behind them. How do you work within a team? Your thinking process. That is why most of the time, when you finish, you reflect about what you have done. So they observe you. Are you a dominating person? If you are dominating, and by nature that people are dominating, there's nothing wrong with you being who you are. But are you able to reflect about that and how it can affect other people? Because if they select you, that personality is going to come forth in a class. So be yourself, but be able to reflect. So this reflection, a psychologist should be somebody who can reflect, have a self critique, but in a way that is very constructive, to show that you understand how who you are will affect your professional development and the people around you. That makes you a good psychologist. So at the interview level, they deal with things like that. It's not just about you playing with parts and whatever. Are you thinking about what you are doing? They say, no, we want you to build and do whatever. Sometimes they can even ask you to do something that is not possible, just to see how you react when you're frustrated. You want to get it right, and you're frustrated because you're a perfectionist. They see your perfectionist out. And you might suffer in psychology when you're a perfectionist. Because you might not be able to get things done on time. It's too much. So those around, the second, and then you go to one-on-one interview. One-on-one interview, they can make you, remember back then we used to do collage, choose an animal or choose an artifact and explain how it relates to you. That's where you must now go all out. You must show you have thought about yourself thoroughly. And if you want to hear more on this one, I'm going to do other videos where I speak about the selection. I want you to write on the comments the things that you want to hear more about in terms of the selection, in terms of the interview, in terms of write comments about what you want to hear more. I'm going to do a lot of this kind of videos next year as we prepare for the interview, to prepare you. So put it on the comment section what you want to know, and I will share about that. And one-on-one interviews, you can do a collage. You can share about yourself. Always align it to why you want to do psychology. Sorry, we're not asking you just to share only. Share about how it relates with you in the field of psychology. I'll break that later when I speak about selection in another video. So that's the selection process, and from there they shortlist again, and I think there's then the final round. The final round, you must know they're already interested in you now. They're already interested in you. You also need to speak about how you plan to make impact in your community. Psychology is about transforming your community. They want to hear also about that. Why do you want to become a psychologist? Can you link that to where you come from, your background, your own issues? How you plan to also grow yourself as an individual, deal with your own issues. Don't be there to be negative, the way I am, I've been poor, I think there are many poor people like me, and I want to help poor. No. Don't do that. No. You need to show how you want to transform your background, where you come from. And if you've got things that are very sensitive, but they've got an impact on your psychological development and your work as a profession, see how you can package that nicely. When you share it, it shows that you have really reflected about yourself, and you have showed development, professional maturity, and also how you can use that to positively impact others within your profession. So there's a lot I can share. I'm just giving you a teaser. So I wanted to just share a bit on that, but I'm going to make another video. This is just a quick guidance. I don't want this to be a long video. I just wanted to share with you to encourage you that psychology is a professional degree. We do psychology. It's a professional qualification. We do psychology because we want to become psychologists. Whether you are selected or not, don't be discouraged. If you are not selected for masters, most people, they want to do PGC because they want to follow psychology. Look, UNISA's got a good program. They call it Psychology of Education. They've got a master's. It's not accredited for educational psychology. I think they are working on that. But it's very good because it's a vertical movement, horizontal, vertical, whatever. Yeah, so it's an upward movement towards a qualification. If you do that, you can become a lecturer. When you do PGC and you are not selected for EdPsych, you'll become a teacher. So more like a a vertical movement or a downward, because you are basically going to high school to teach, while with the masters you are going up to lecture. So I think it depends where you want to go. If you want to be in academia to become a lecturer, I will say go for a master's in psychology of education. It doesn't make you an educational psychologist, but I think if you do get to masters later, they can accredit you. Other people, they do masters in not life orientation. I think it's in career guidance. UP has that, masters in career guidance. They do that. If you do get to EdPsych, those are the people who want to do educational psychology, then you can get accredited. So, but I will say also, it's an academic masters, you can also lecture part-time. There's a lot of opportunities in higher education. Guys, don't be stuck in psychology. You can lecture psychology, you can lecture life orientation, you can lecture modules in psychology in higher education. So if you do your masters, there are lecturing positions. There's now what they call NGAP. NGAP are new positions that are funded by government or co-funded by government and the university in order to develop new academics. So go that route as well. Don't only be stuck in psychology level. You can also do masters and pursue a PhD and become an academic. Whether you have done a research psychology, you have done honors in psychology, you can do masters in any of this field and be able to lecture. Whether in higher education, I can share you a lot of opportunities that exist where you can start lecturing part-time quicker. Just leave the note below and then I will share that with you. So I just wanted to leave it there, that there are many opportunities in higher education. I want to end it there, friends, and let's keep in touch. I want you to subscribe. If you have not subscribed, make sure that you click on the subscribe button. Share this channel with as many people as possible, particularly those in psychology. Share this channel with them. Make sure that you fill in the form so that you can share the pools that exist. And I want you to share this with as many people as possible, particularly in psychology, or any person whom you know who needs career guidance. Share the channel with them, because this channel is meant to guide you through your career path. Enjoy the rest of your day and continue pursuing this field of psychology. You will never, ever regret it. Enjoy.